Right, we move into our next session on the topic Beyond Earth Horizon, India's Cosmic Innovation. Sandeep Kulkarni, NASSCOM, will be in conversation with Srijan Pal Singh, founder and CEO of Homi Lab. Srijan Pal Singh is an author, a public speaker, an education innovator, and social entrepreneur. He is an IIMA Gold medalist and has worked as advisor to Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, the 11th President of India. He's also the founder and CEO of Homi Lab. Ladies and gentlemen, please extend a warm welcome this afternoon to both Sandeep Kulkarni and Srijan Pal Singh.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon, everyone. So we are very honored to have you with us today, and it's a pleasure to be sharing the stage with you. As we explore the theme, the future through tech lens, it's important to recognize the pivotal role the space plays in shaping the trajectory for our technological future. Exploring space, coming up with new ideas is not just about the science. I think these are the catalysts for making our life better, creating newer technologies, working together with everyone. And I think India has been doing it for a long time, and it still becomes a major part of the space adventure. So my first question to you is, India has traditionally aimed for a significant position in the space technology, and we have often achieving the commendable ranking. But with the recent success of Chandrayaan-3 and the first country to land in the South Pole, I think we have taken a position as a global leader in the space exploration. How do you perceive this transition, and what role do you envision at India playing as a leader at a global stage?
Right. Thank you, Sandeep, and my warm welcome to all the people present here. You're all, I understand, innovators, entrepreneurs, you're managing startups, some research, and of course, I congratulate NASSCOM especially for organizing this, and not just here, but in many cities. So I think it's a great step towards realizing India's potential and also sharing ideas. I think societies need to share ideas to expand. So I congratulate you on that mission, and I understand it's not an easy task. So my special kudos to all of you. Sandeep, the question which you asked has got many dimensions to it. But before I go about answering that, I want to understand from the audience, how many of you watched Chandrayaan-3 land live on TV? Right? Okay, so a good percentage of you did watch it. I'm not going to ask you questions, so don't worry. Okay. See, I think in 1980, when we first launched our satellite successfully using Indian technology, the Rohini satellite we launched, and it went first time, 79 it failed, 1980 we succeeded. Even as we did that, there was a lot of also criticism that why is India getting into space, but we managed to successfully go that. When we did that, we were the 6th country in space. When we did Pokhran, we were the 5th country to become a nuclear power. When we, everything which we did, even the Mangalyaan, whatever we did, we were the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th country to do that. And there's no shame in that. It's great. It's very complicated. Space, nuclear, all these are complicated things. They require massive investments in terms of money, resources. They also require massive human power, brain power. So we were doing that. But when you are the 2nd, 3rd, 4th to do something, you have someone to look up to. You have someone else's mistakes to learn from, and their success stories to inspire from. There's somebody to tell you outside India that ho sakta hai, can be done, because somebody else has done it. But this mission, Chandrayaan-3, for the first time ever, independent India has done something complicated and been the first country to do it. Okay? Now they say you are very alone at the top Because at the top, when you're the first country to do something complicated, there is only one person to learn from. Who is that person? Yourself. Yourself. Your own mistakes are there to learn from. That's all. The only thing you could learn from for Chandrayaan 3, the only thing you can learn from would be Chandrayaan 2, the one which crashed. Nobody else managed to land in the southern polar region anything. The Russians tried to beat us in a race, and that didn't go well. But this has inspired this nation. I have seen, and I travel across, especially children I work with. Today, when you go to a child, they don't say, I want to be an astronaut or a cosmonaut. They say, I want to be a Gagannaut. Indian Gagannaut. Today, a child in class 8th, 9th, 10th, 12th can, and even a girl can, because we are going to send women into space as well. Every child in any corner of the country can today aspire to be IAS, IPS, though everybody wants to be. But now they can aspire to be a Gagannaut. I can take you to space using Indian technology. That ethos of this nation has changed. And so many things changed ever since. You know, I was talking to you yesterday, and I was telling you, if you go back the history of civilization, and you go by the Western estimate, not our estimate is about 10,000 years of civilization. Their estimate is about 7,000 years of civilization. Indus Valley, Egyptian, all these is the beginning point. 7,000 years of civilization's existence of humankind, all but from 1600 to today, to 2020, you can say, India was not at the top of it. Not, otherwise, except these 400 years, we were the best in economy, we were the best in science, best in medicine, best in inventions, best in spirituality. We were inspiring the world in trade and commerce and innovations and products. And if you were to look at entire history, out of 6,000 years, all but 400 years, which is 5,600 divided by 6,000 years, we have been an inspiration for the world. We have been the leaders, the ones who tried things way ahead of time, who were fearless in expressing complex scientific theories. And 5,600 divided by 6,000 is approximately what percentage? About 94%. So 94% time of the history we have been inspiring the global civilization, and now is our time again. So we did Chandrayaan 3, we did Aditya, we did the test of the TV D1 module of Gaganyaan, and by 2020, end or 25 beginning, we will send humans into space using Indian technology. We did G20, where we inspired the world to do green hydrogen. It's not a great sort of memory, but even in the World Cup final, we expected to win 11 matches in a row. You know, that is our self-confidence. Even in sports today, we aim for gold medals. We don't aim to get qualified in the Olympics. 20 years ago, if you could qualify your runner into, one of the athletics, it was an achievement. Today, our athletics aims for the gold. And gold after gold after gold. This, if you are a youngster, you are all young people, right? Especially the ones, everybody is young in the heart, but in the age also, you guys are young. You have a long run. This nation gives you today the best opportunity. Run long, run fast, and achieve a lot. Don't miss it.
Interesting, but as you touched upon the Chandrayaan 3 success, right? I just want to ask, one question: why the South Pole is so special? I think I was recently reading an article about Chandrayaan 3, which is poised to unlock the energy, and the whole helium-3, which is going to be the potential energy. So why is it so special, South Pole?
So very interesting. So we could have easily landed on the equator. We could have landed on the equator in 2019, of the moon, not in Earth, of the moon. Equator is a flat land, and anything can happily land there, no problem. It's easy, it's warm, it's warmer than the rest of the moon, and it's flat, no problem. But then we choose a target which is the southern polar region. Why? The south pole of the moon is very complicated. It has got craters, it has got mountains, it has got areas which have been sun shaded for millions of years. See, on the moon there's no wind, so you don't get flat. If something impacts the moon, and there are plenty of impacts on the moon of meteors, you have deep craters. The southern polar region of the moon has the second deepest crater of our solar system, which is called the Atkinson crater, 13 kilometers deep. You can sink Mount Everest in it. It is so deep. And there are craters after craters after craters after craters, and in between those craters, there are tiny places where you can land. And landing is complicated then. But then why do we go there? For multiple reasons. The most important reason is that, you see, when something does not get sunlight, what happens to its temperature? It drops. And in this case, it drops to minus 220 degrees, minus zero. Say be 220 degrees lower than that. Your refrigerator freezer is about minus 17 degrees. And I'm talking about minus 220 degrees, 220 degrees. So any water which was there ever, and there is water on the moon, that water would be in a permanent frozen state. For millions of years, it would be frozen. And there is no concept of liquid water on moon because there is no atmospheric pressure. Liquid will immediately vaporize, go away, and be lost. So if there's any water on the moon, it will be on the polar regions. And we know that there are billions of kilograms, billions of tons of actually water on the moon, and we need to discover it. So that's why number one reason why we need to go to the South Pole is because we need to find water. Second important, you sort of hinted that, is a substance called helium-3. Now, if you remember your class 10th chemistry, what is helium? Hydrogen ke baad, it's come helium, right? So helium typically has 2 protons and 2 electrons going around it, okay? But if you add a neutron to it, it becomes helium-3. So the atomic weight becomes 3, 2 protons plus 1 neutron. Helium-3 can be used for fusion power. And the dust on moon has plenty of helium-3. It has approximately 11 million tons of helium-3. It's all on the surface. Now, if you could convert that to energy using fusion power, you know how many years of power you'll get? About 50 to 60,000 years of electrical power for this planet could be got from that helium-3 which is on the moon. And that is why you're seeing a renewed race between countries to go onto the moon or go back to the moon. NASA wants to go back to the moon. So suddenly moon has become an industrial complex. And it's important to go to the southern polar region now because there's a treaty, international treaty on space, where you cannot, as a country, you cannot own land in space. However, this treaty will expire. At some point, industrial complexes will become a reality. And when that happens, the countries who've gone to those spots the first will have a greater say or a greater right that this land or this resource belongs to us. And that's why it's important to have the tricolor on the southern polar region, and we got it. So it's a great step. In 20 years, when your children will become your age, they will remember that we did the right thing today. And that's why it was important.
Interesting. This is absolutely, to hear about this is fantastic. I think this brings to the question that, while not every space exploration has got an immediate ROI, but it has got its impact, which is immeasurable. There are always, for instance, take a projects like Aditya, and there is always a contrary view is that, why substantial amount of the resource has been used on this, right? So what is your perspective on, importance of such missions, especially the Aditya L1?
See, one thing I'll tell you, Indian space mission, ISRO, was established for helping people. It was established to predict weather for the fisher folks, and it has saved countless lives, thousands of lives, probably tens of thousands of lives. It has saved farmers from the weather vagaries where our farmers did not have any inkling of when the monsoon. Monsoon is extremely unpredictable, but it is also extremely necessary. Otherwise, the entire India, especially the northern part, would all be desert. But it's not because of monsoon. But monsoon was unpredictable. It's so unpredictable that, you even say someone's mood is like monsoon because, it's unpredictable. So ISRO was established to do that. And it was well ahead of its time because when it happened, most countries did not anticipate that India, a country which could not grow its own food, would venture into space. And you had all those mocking cartoons which came out all over the world. So it has always been an ethos. One of the reasons why we're so successful is because we're not in a Cold War with anyone. The Americans or the Russians had a Cold War. That's why they were doing the space mission. That was their primary objective. Our primary objective was helping our people. And now our objective still remains the same. Now, Aditya L1 you mentioned, so I have to talk about Aditya L1. Aditya L1, you all know, have you heard of Aditya L1? Aditya mission is basically going towards the sun. So it is establishing itself at a point called L1, which is Lagrange point 1, and it will continuously observe the mighty sun for a lot of things. One of the most important things is the X-ray signature from the Earth, from the sun. Now, if you're standing on Earth, you cannot see the X-ray from the sun because the Earth has a magnetic cover, and the magnetic cover takes away all the X-rays. It's all reflected away. But if you are in space, you can observe X-ray because nothing deflects it. And it's very important to do that. I want you to read about something called the Carrington event. Okay, I'll give you a brief summary. In mid-1800s, the telegraph poles were there. Electrical poles were rare, but telegraph was there. In the United States especially, there were a lot of telegraph poles. And there's something which happened, very, very weird thing happened in that year. On one day of September, I don't remember which day, there was, suddenly the telegraph wires caught fire. And everything which was electromagnetic, which had a wire and some current running in it, started catching fire. You know what happened? It was one of the massive releases of something called the solar coronal mass ejection from the sun, which is called CME. You should read up, CME. CME and solar flares. The sun basically ejects large amounts of protons and also alpha waves and X-rays, and suddenly sometimes spikes come there. So solar flares is one such spike. The other and the more dangerous one is called a CME. Typically, in about 100 years, there's one CME event. Now, CME was not that dangerous, or solar flares also were not that dangerous when we did not have an economy and a society based on electromagnetics. Today, it is. From your airplane to your mobile phone runs on electromagnetic signatures. God forbid, if a CME happens, there will be massive consequences on economy. And you had seen one CME, by the way, a small CME, about 4 or 5 years ago, and it brought down several satellites. In fact, SpaceX also lost a satellite because of that. And that was a small CME. It was not even a big one. But if a huge coronal mass ejection happens, we will have consequences. We, as a human society, need to build an observatory and multiple observatories to detect CMEs when they happen. When it does happen, it takes 8 minutes for light to travel from the sun to the earth. And it takes far more. It takes about a few hours, actually, 10, 15 hours, for the CME to reach earth. If we are able to detect that, then we can create life-saving consequences. It could be great. It is better than even an earthquake detection system. The humankind's, one of the biggest race is against time to detect these CMEs and ensure that they do not cause massive harms on the planet Earth. So this is the reason why you're seeing not just India, Japan is doing it, US is doing it, Russia is doing it, ESA is doing it. And we need to keep observations on the sun. Sun is extremely important. So isn't it, while it may cost 400 crores, but it is totally worth it because the loss it can lead to of life and property would be immense.
Absolutely. I think this shows the vision and the strategic investment, why it is so important. So in your view, what are the opportunities that you see for the cosmic frontier? How it's going to impact the other industries, be it agri, defense?
Yeah, so see, America, US started under Donald Trump, it started the Space Force. I'm sure you know that, right? So it started, besides the Army, Navy, Marines, and the Air Force, it started a 5th division, which is called the Space Force. And initially it was mocked, but it actually is a very serious thing. Future conflicts will be fought in space. Space will be a frontier where conflicts will happen. We, in 2019, tested the ASAT, anti-satellite missile. Remember that? The Prime Minister came, addressed the nation. So ASAT, we did that. As I told you, moon itself is laden with resource and wealth. 60,000 years worth of energy on this planet is right there on the moon. It is worth it. Wherever there is resource, we know how conflicts happened whenever oil was found. Wherever there was oil, there was army. Some countries' army fighting, right? The same conflict will also happen once you start successfully mining resources on the moon. And that's why space is an extremely important sector from a strategic angle. Strategic as in the military angle. Space is also important in terms of, as you said, agriculture. We can do a lot of prediction there. Space is important for communication, all that you know, education, healthcare. There'll be plenty of startups. India is one of the most, we are saying that India will become one of the space tech leaders in terms of private sector participation. There'll be space tourism. Space tourism would be a huge sector. Once you go into space, you'll find many minerals, which are, such as helium-3, but there are many, many more, which you'll be able to find, which are rare. How many of you like diamonds? Diamonds, big ones, like Kohinoor level, bigger than Kohinoor, this big. How many of you like diamonds? How many of you are wearing diamonds? Some of you are not even telling. We'll not ask for it. It's not your entry fee. There is a planet. In fact, most large planets, like Saturn, Jupiter, some moons of Jupiter, Neptune, Uranus. You know what rains there? It's not water. It is diamonds. So if you like diamonds, a lot of diamonds, suddenly diamonds don't sound that rare, no? It's raining diamonds. So, like that, there are a lot of things which appear to be rare on this planet, which are abundant on other planets. And diamond is just one of them. Eventually, we will have to settle on other planets. It's important to settle on other planets because this planet, while it's beautiful, it's wonderful, it's green, it's fresh air, we're born here, but we are in danger. Little events, there have been 5 major mass extinction events. Each time, 96% of everything which was alive died, including dinosaurs. Finished in a matter of a few hundred years. And that's why it's important to have places where we as a species can live. The sun is not permanent. Our own galaxy, Milky Way, will collide with Andromeda in about 5 billion years. There's another galaxy which is coming, heading our way. It's called Andromeda, and we are Milky Way. Collision will happen. And the center of both the galaxies have huge, massive black holes. They will collide. They will combine. And I don't know what will happen to our galaxy and our planet. So we not only have to go to other planets, we have to go to other solar systems. We not only have to go to other solar systems, we eventually have to go to other galaxies. That's the only way our species and life, as we know it, will live for a very long time. So space is something which is, you must venture, right? And I'm hoping that some of you probably will, in your lifetime, be a space tourist as well. I think, if you do well, it'll be expensive, but I think about 10% of you can potentially aim to someday not go to moon, but go to space and come back. So that tourism will be open and it'll happen in the next 15 years. So in 15 years, you can go to some website, book a ticket, come back. So when you say, we will go to the honeymoon, you literally go to the moon.
To make it more engaging, we can take one question from the audience, if there are any. Okay, can you provide the mic?
1, 2, 3.
Or are we the only aliens that exist?
See, we're not really looking for diamonds. I was just giving an example. So the reason we are going to space is not to make large diamond rings, That's, diamond will become defunct once we go to space, actually. But good question. She's asking, and in case you didn't hear it, have you heard it? No. So she's asking that while we're looking for minerals in space, have we found living beings? But you said 2 words. You said living and conscious. So conscious, living, none of those. We have not found it. But think about this. If I go to the Pacific Ocean and take a glass of water, and then I say, there is no whale, and hence the Pacific Ocean does not have whales, right? That's how we are sampling space. Think of this, that there are 2 trillion stars, at least, probably more, because to the edge of the universe where we can go, which is 13.8 billion light years, we can't see beyond it because that's the distance light has traveled so far from its birth of light. we have 2 trillion stars. 2 trillion stars, okay? Now, if you have 2 trillion known stars, which we know of, they'll have 20 trillion planets, or maybe 10 trillion planets, right? 5 planets per star. Some of them have actually hundreds of planets. So, somewhere between 10 to 20 trillion planets. And we are the only planet which somehow has life. Now, either we are very arrogant to believe it, or we are very alone to have it. I don't want to be alone. And I don't think we should be arrogant. We have barely set foot on, 20 people have gone to the moon. 12 people, have, 8 of them were just circling around. So 12 people have so far gone to the moon for no more than 2-3 hours and have walked an area of no more than 10 times the size of this hall. And then some rovers have gone. Our rovers on Venus have survived for no more than 3 hours. Our rovers on Mars have gone a bit more, but really you have not done sampling. There is a very beautiful, it's a moon, and I think it's of Saturn. It's called Enceladus. Enceladus is a very funny place. So Enceladus is a little bigger than our moon, and the surface is solid ice, solid for 1 billion years, but it's water, ice. We believe that if Enceladus has a core, then there will be liquid water between this ice and the core. We don't know if you dig a hole, you'll find whales. Right. We also do not, you take the example of Mars, for instance, right? Mars is very strange. You know, it had water. It still has water. It's frozen state, but it has those linings. You know, if you look at Mars, if you've seen a figure of Mars, seen a photo of Mars, it has those, you know, there are like canyons. And there are a lot of canyons which once were rivers. Venus was once like Earth, but it had a runaway greenhouse effect and it is now very hot. It's 450 degrees. But just above the surface of Venus, about 20 kilometers, the temperature becomes 23 degrees, which is very conducive for life. And it has water, it has carbon dioxide, a lot of it, but then there are plants which like carbon dioxide. Not every species needs oxygen in abundance like us. So there will be, I believe, and this is, I mean, I have not seen it and nobody has, there are no aliens as of now who have visited this planet. And if they have, we're pretty stupid for them because they'll not bother. You know, a planet which, we're still sort of technologically very low level. But I believe that we are not alone. Now, whether there are people who are intelligent like us, if we are intelligent though, I don't know whether we are really intelligent, but at the same intelligence and technological prowess as we are, I cannot claim that to be. There may be beings which are better than us. There may be beings which are worse than us. There may be beings which may not be carbon-based. We are carbon-based. We rely on the covalent bonds of carbon. That's what your body is made up of. And a lot of water. But maybe they're silicon-based beings. We don't know. So in 100 years or so, when we are truly going to map other planets in our solar system or beyond, maybe we will find something. You know, there's a very interesting, it's a device, it's a satellite kind of a thing. It's called Voyager. It's called Voyager 1 and Voyager 2. They were set in 1979. And they are the farthest object, flying object, which we have built. And they're currently about 30 billion or so kilometers away. They've crossed the solar system, right? And they are, one day we hope that some alien species will grab it. And inside the Voyager, there's a record, which has an address of Earth, which has the voices of Earth, which has the faces of Earth, which has hello said in, I think, about 26 languages of Earth, including 10 from India. And we hope that someday they'll play this record and they'll come to us. You know?
Super.
It's there, it's going, still there.
I have one last question, you know, and this is interesting, and everybody would like to know that, you know, how has been your experience working with Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, you know, particularly in the context of one of his pet project or a priority that he wanted to have is in India having an energy independence.
Correct.
And you know, how do you see that trajectory of that vision, especially in the context of the hydrogen fuel?
See, Dr. Kalam was a person who believed in having a very futuristic outlook. So one day I asked him, why are you worried about what happens in 2100? You will not be alive, I'll not be alive. He said, because I have learned so generously from those who have worked in the past, I have to give to those in the future. So he was a man who would always think of larger causes, of humanitarian issues, of things which were well ahead of his time. And I think anyone who lived and worked with him, he had that infectious ability to spread optimism and hope for the future. And future is always very optimistic. See, we were also depressed. This Israel war is happening, Hamas is happening, Israel is happening. Friday onwards, there's a truce. Good things happen. You have to just be optimistic. And Dr. Kalam, one thing which is very inspiring about him, he always said, focus on the good thing. Even if there's despair, think of the good thing. And eventually, great things will happen. We let problems become he used to say, don't let problems become your captain. Okay, don't let problems become your captain. You become the captain of the problems, navigate the problem, and then you defeat them. You know, you have to learn to navigate your problems. Every decade, Dr. Kalam came up with something great for the nation. In 1960s, a lot of people don't know, he invented India's first hovercraft. I was seeing the motorcycle presentation here. Our first hovercraft was used 2 motorcycle engines. 1970s, space. 1980s, missiles. 1990s, nuclear. 2000s, president opened the entire, the whole Rashtrapati Bhavan was opened up. And 2010s, his final decades, was a teacher. I saw him as a teacher in 2008 in IIM Ahmedabad. And the very last day he was alive, 27 July 2015, we were taking a course together in IIM Shillong, and he was still a teacher. So that personality, that great national service is, I think, nation above the rest, which all we should follow. And you'll be happy doing it. Believe me, he used to say that the reason why we degrade the environment, we become sad, we become depressed, is because we are always worried about what we can take. What we can take from the environment, what we can take from somebody who's sitting across the table, so this corruption happens. And everything is about taking. You want to take, hoard. He said, if 15 minutes a day, you can be what can I give, you'll be happy. And if the ultimate goal of what can I take is to be happy by consumption, and if I'm giving you a shortcut of thinking of what can I give, and you don't need to spend money, giving can be just be nice to people, be respectful to people, listen to people. They may have a bad day, just listen to them. So I've never seen him angry. For 7 years, I've never seen him angry once. And I lived in the same house. Never seen him angry. Food has more salt, koi baat nahi, sahi kar do. है ना, गाड़ी गलत चली गई, कोई बात नहीं, सही जगह चले जाओ. By anger and rage is not going to solve any problem for you in life. It's only going to expand it. A, you waste time. B, your BP goes up, so your health goes down, your life days go down. And C, it does not even solve the problem. And whenever there is this such opportunity, that you can be angry or cannot be angry, if you choose not to be angry, then you build your brand. So take it like that. So I think those kind of things are very important. But I want to tell you something. How many of you wanted to have Dr. Kalam as a teacher? He was my teacher. Like all of you. I can't give you him as a teacher, but I can give you an experience of him being your teacher. Want to try that? But there's a catch. The catch is he'll ask you questions, and you have to answer. Are you ready? Abhi awaaz dhimi ho gayi. Okay, so if you can set my computer, I'll show you something which we have been building for a while, and it's a part of something which we have built. So, okay, can you see my screen? Okay, I hope we have the voice. Okay, let's try this. This is a part of something which we have built. We're not getting the sound.
But I am now back in 2023 as a digital app.
We'll have to do this again. The voice, ready with the voice? Ready, na? This time it was working. Okay, let's start. We lost a few words. Okay. So,
Dear young Indians, as you know, I passed away in the physical form in 2015, but I am now back in 2023 as a digital avatar. With all of you, I am going to ask you some questions, and I want to see if you can answer them correctly. Are you ready?
are you ready? Okay, let's see. We'll start a quiz. Some questions are easy, this is actually a part of entire experience we are building, which is like a Kalam GPT, and building many of such experiences for all those people who wanted Dr. Kalam as a teacher and could not have him. So maybe start. We can turn off the lights. Or maybe she's needed, right? You'll need the light, right? Okay, she needs the light. So we'll keep the light. That's okay. We have enough light.
Which element is in nuclear reactors to control the chain reaction? I repeat, which element is in nuclear reactors to control the chain reaction?
Okay, so how many of you say boron? How many of you say phosphorus? Nobody says phosphorus. How many says uranium? So uranium wins. Let's see if that's the correct answer.
This is not the right answer. But try again. Even I used to fail in many of my projects before finally succeeding.
The right answer
Dogs
is
were the first animal who started living with humans about 9,000 years ago, which was the second animal to be domesticated by humans.
okay, the right answer for the previous was boron, by the way. How many of you say it's a sheep? Okay. How many say it's a cow? Cow, a lot of people cow. How many say it was a pig? I think pigs win, right? Okay, so let's put pig. Okay.
You are absolutely correct. I am proud of your knowledge.
Okay, so it was correct.
Which of these is not a missile? My team and I made for India. I repeat, which of these is not a missile? My team and I made for India.
Okay, how many says BrahMos? How many says Prithvi? How many say it's Apollo? This was easy, no? Sometimes easy questions are needed.
You are right. Well done.
Okay, last two questions. Okay.
What is the name of the famous made in India fighter jet? I repeat, what is the name of the famous made in India fighter jet?
Okay, was it Mirage? How many said Mirage? Nobody. Okay. How many said Tejas? Okay, a lot of you. How many said Sukhoi? Very few. And one person. Okay. So we'll go with Tejas. Let's see if it's correct.
You are right. Well done.
Okay, last question.
Between which two planets does the well-known asteroid belt of the solar system lie? I repeat, between which two planets does the well-known asteroid belt of the solar system lie?
How many says Mars and Earth? One person. How many say Mars and Jupiter? Okay, dozen or more. Saturn and Jupiter. Okay, so Saturn and Jupiter wins. Okay, let's see if that's correct.
This is not the right answer, my friends. But do not worry. Try again.
The right answer was Mars and Jupiter. There's a massive asteroid belt, which also has antimatter, by the way. And in future, we will get that antimatter. And 1 milligram, which is equal to the weight of the ant, if you get this much of antimatter, as big as an ant, you can produce enough energy to run Bengaluru city for about 3 hours. 1 milligram, not gram, milligram, you know? That much. And that's why we need to go to space. So you did well, 60%. Well done. Okay. Thank you.
This is just amazing, and thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure to hear you, and it's a pleasure to be having this in conversation with. Thank you so much.
On that note, I'd like to request Sandeep to present Srijan with a small token of our appreciation.